Testing one, two. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Cool Beans Hot Stuff. Today is Terrifying Tuesdays, and we're continuing with our 50 States of Myths and Legends series that I started on last month, every month, going through one of the 50 states and talking about some of the famous local myths and legends that come from that state. And today is Alaska. This actually should have been last week's stream, but I didn't stream on Tuesday. I forget. Oh, because we had a massive thunderstorm. It was like fucking up my internet and everything. So no stream last Tuesday, but we get to do it this Tuesday, and I'm pretty stoked about it. I love these days where we get to sit and talk about local myths and legends. And Alaska, there is so many of them, man. This first page, wanted to show you guys just to give you an understanding. This is just a collection of the Tlingit. That's how you say it. I had to practice this multiple times, so I'm pretty fucking positive. I don't get most words. There's English words that I fuck up on, but I'm pretty sure it's the Tlingit. This is all just Tlingit myths and legends right here. Okay, just one tribe, one Native American tribe, one Native Alaskan tribe, and look at all those different myths and legends, right? So you have multiple Native American, Native Alaskan tribes, right, up there, and I don't know how many. Most of them, to be honest, I'm not even going to try to pronounce for you because I'm going to fuck them up. And then you have a whole bunch of myths and legends that have been created since then, including a couple we're going to go over today that are kind of like brand new within the last 20, 30 years, right? So many myths and legends to cover, man. So it was fun to put the stream together. I picked what I hoped would be the I guess the most well known, really, right? If you're from Alaska and you're watching my stream and you're like, all right, fuckhead, let's see what you think you know about Alaska. I'm gonna throw some up here that's gonna be like, okay, nice. And maybe I picked a couple too that hopefully you wouldn't know about, right? But if you're not from Alaska, like me, you don't know anything about Alaska, then this is all going to be new shit. There was only one thing on this list that I had heard about before putting all of this together. Interestingly enough, my cutie pie, who is, I'm sure, watching the stream right now, she grew up in Alaska, spent all 4 years of high school in Alaska. So I wonder if I never actually ran this by her to see if she has heard of any of this. But yeah, there's some of the more famous local ones. I got to burp. Hold on. Okay, we got it. Oof. I don't burp all day long until the minute I come on stream. Then it's just like non fucking stop burps, man. So, and I changed my interface. So I don't have a mute button on this new interface. And I didn't realize that until I bought it. And I needed to burp and realized, oh, and then just. So I'm still working with it. But fuck all that. Let's jump into this because I'm stoked to talk about this. So I got one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Eight. Wow, hey, an even number this time. Usually when I do my top eight, it ends up being like top seven, top nine, top 12, top 11. Well, I guess 12 is an even number. Top 11, top 13. I never do like an even number for some fucking reason. I just got to be special like that. But this time we got top eight of my favorite myths and legends because, again, there's just so many of them from Alaska. It's just filled with all kinds of really cool lore and really dope fucking stories. This were some of my eight favorites. So we're going to start with this first one. I don't know if you're watching this on live or you're watching this on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, by the way, and I hope you have fun and learn something and enjoy the stream. But wherever you're watching this, I don't know if you have seen this shit on TikTok, these videos. They're all the same, what is that, style? And they all kind of make me giggle a little bit. They're all kind of creepy, but also kind of funny, right? But we're gonna watch this video. This is about the Thomas Bay devil creatures. All right, so we're gonna watch this quick TikTok video about the Thomas Bay devil creatures, and then we're gonna get into a little bit of reading about them here. What is called the strangest story ever told? I think. Yeah, I think I got that right. All right, so check it out. This is the Thomas Bay devil creatures.
We're the reason no one comes to this part of Alaska. Hello, my name is Urban. I am one of the Thomas.
See, that makes me laugh. My name is Urban. And every single one of them say that. Every video doesn't, they're on, here's the Erkenrot, which we actually did this on Alaskan cryptids. We went over the Erkenrot, this video up here, and same thing. It's like, hi, my name is Urban. It doesn't matter what voice they use, their name is always fucking Urban. And for some creepy ass reason, they had to use a little kid's voice on this one. So it definitely adds an air of terror to the whole thing, yeah.
Bay devil creatures. Thomas Bay, near Petersburg, Alaska, is full of gold, but very few are willing to risk it because of its dark history and what we do to those who come in. A long time ago, there used to be an entire Tlingit village of 500 people, but they were all wiped out in a landslide. And after sitting desolate for about 150 years, a few miners have gone in to search for gold, but quickly left and never returned back. We are said to hide near Half Moon Lake, which is very hard to find. But if you do, you are very unlucky. You will go temporarily insane and start to see a pack of us running up the ridge towards you. If you are lucky, you might be able to barely escape since our speed is very similar to a human. But if we are able to catch up, we will tear you apart with our claws. So if you're ever in Southeast Alaska, remember, we are the reason.
Right? So there you go. Pretty fucking creepy, yeah. I mean, the kids' voices and then the music. I don't know if you heard that music behind them. Listen to that.
Alaska. Hello, my name is Urban. I am one of the Thomas Bay devil creatures.
Very discordant, kind of swooping, like really creepy shit. And then yeah, a little kid saying, "We're gonna tear you apart with our teeth and claws." Like, that's pretty creepy, right? Give this guy a like, because he does all kinds of good videos. Obviously it's all AI, but I don't give a fuck, man. I use AI to make my thumbnails, so I'm not bitching at this guy. He's doing big numbers too. So, but there's your introduction to the Thomas Bay devil creatures. Okay, they live on Half Moon Lake and came from a town. What was it? The town of 500 people?
Thomas
Was it, or was it
Bay,
5,000 people?
Petersburg, Alaska, is full
Petersburg,
of gold,
yeah.
but very few are willing to risk it because of its dark history and what we do to those who come in. A long time ago, there used to be an entire Tlingit village of 500 people, but they were
500
all wiped
people
out in a landslide. And after sitting desolate for about 150 years, a few.
So yeah, we're going to read a little bit into exactly what the Thomas Bay devil creatures are and some of the stories. So let's go ahead and do that. Now you kind of got an idea. Spooky ass fuckers. The strangest story ever told. Okay, I did get it right. Nice. So, I'm far from the first non-native person to write about the Kushtaka, and we're going to get into that in a minute. 1950, a prospector and fisherman named Harry D. Culp died, and his widow found a manuscript entitled The Strangest Story Ever Told. Culp's daughter promptly published his small book, and the story has become the best-known legend in southeast Alaska. The story begins in 1900 when Culp, then 19 years old, was living in a shack with 3 other prospectors in the village of Rangwell. All 3 were broke. One prospector, called Charlie in the story, he didn't want to be named, was given a tip by an old Tlingit man. There was a mother lode of gold in Thomas Bay. But the elder warned him not to go looking for it because the country was haunted by evil spirits. Another burp, just to break up the tension. Even if he tracked down the gold, it wouldn't do him any good. He'd be haunted too. Charlie ignored the warning and immediately set out in a canoe to find the gold. He paddled along the edge of the Stickeen River Delta, and beneath the Horn Cliffs before entering the steel-colored waters of Thomas Bay. Following the old Tlingit man's directions, he hiked up the Patterson River to where the gold deposit supposedly laid. Weeks later, Charlie showed up in Wrangell with nothing but a big hunk of quartz that was full of gold specks. He looked like hell, and he wouldn't say a word other than to ask for money to get a ticket on the first steamship to Seattle. Right before Charlie boarded, vowing to never set foot in Alaska again, he told the other prospectors his story. The strangest story ever told. Swarming up the ridge toward me from the lake were the most horrible creatures. I couldn't call them anything but devils, as they were neither man nor monkeys, yet looked like both. They were entirely sexless. Their bodies covered with long, coarse hair, except where scabs and running sores had replaced it. Ooh, ew, that is gross. I liked the TikTok version where they all had like the what is like kind of like totem pole style shit going on. That was a little bit better. Scabs and running sores. I don't know what a running sore is. What is a running sore, by the way? It sounds gross, though. Each one seemed to be reaching out for me and striving to be the first to get me. The air was full of their cries, and the stench from their sores and bodies made me faint. I forgot my broken gun and tried to use it on the first ones, and then I threw it at them and turned and ran. Why was your gun broken, Charlie? What the fuck? Out in Alaskan wilderness and your gun is broken? And ran. God, how did I run? I could feel their hot breath on my back, their long claw like fingers scraping my back. The smell from their steaming, stinking bodies was making me sick, while the noises they made, yelling and screaming and breathing, drove me mad. Reason left me. How I reached for the canoe or hung on to that piece of quartz is a mystery to me. So, Culp and his partners decided to go to Thomas Bay to see for themselves, and most lived to regret that decision. Some of the men from the group claimed to have seen the devil creatures, others went insane, or some simply disappeared. Oh shit. Little devil guys got him. Tinglet Ornament Man. Okay, okay. We'll get into that in a minute. We'll get into the ornament guy here in a second. Let's see, where are we at? But I didn't need to search back to the 1900s to find strange stories from the wilderness. Decades ago, my dad, a very experienced outdoorsman, we're out of the strangest story ever told. Now we're hearing from Bijom Dill. Yeah, that's what we're going to call him, Bijom. He's now given us his rendition. A very experienced outdoorsman, his dad, had what many locals would say was an encounter. He'd been hunting deer when a strange feeling overwhelmed him and he blacked out. I remember seeing a deer walking through the mist, and then for some reason I sat down at the base of a tree, he said. Sometime later he woke up groggy. He was wandering deeper into the woods, clutching his rifle. His backpack, which contained all of his hunting and survival gear, was gone. Other Southeast Alaskan hunters have similar stories. David Kadzik, a Tlinga elder, told me the story of shooting a deer and then spotting his dad and brother-in-law at the edge of the woods. They disappeared into the dark maze of the forest, and Kadzik felt compelled to chase after them. He yelled at them to stop as he ran along a well-defined trail, but they wouldn't listen. Kadzik suddenly snapped to and realized that he was clawing through a thicket of devil's club. The Kushtaka, he told me, had tricked him with an illusion of his family. Okay. So, these are the Thomas Bay devil creatures. I'm going to fuck that up because I have a whole nother thing called the story of Devilfish Bay. So we got Devilfish Bay and Thomas Bay devil creatures. So it all gets mixed up in my marijuana filled brain. So there's the legend. That's the scariest story ever told about the Devil Bay or the Thomas Bay devil creatures. Fuckballs, man. That's going to be a tough one to get through. We'll get through it. We'll slog through it, even if I have to just stop trying and we just move on to something else. But before we do that, Thomas Bay, Alaska. I kind of like to do this, or I enjoy doing this every single time we go through urban legends, haunted houses, cryptids, anything like that in any state. We did this in Alabama, the first state we went over. I like to locate where all of this stuff is on the map. So let's do Thomas Bay. Okay. This whole thing is Thomas Bay? No, okay, that's Alaska. I was like, Jesus Christ, that's fucking huge. I can't put that in the map. Okay, so where's Thomas Bay then? Did I miss it? Am I going crazy here? Oh, Wrangell. There's Wrangell right there. Okay, that was a part of the story. And they had Half Moon Lake, but Thomas Bay, where are you at? Maybe this whole thing is Thomas Bay. Let's see if Half Moon Lake pops up. Half Moon Lake, Alaska. Half Moon Lake, Alaska. Oh, there it is. Half Moon Lake. Okay, well, it wasn't that hard to find urban, for fuck's sakes. So, this supposedly is Half Moon Lake. And is this whole thing Thomas Bay? I'm still confused about that. Hold on. Thomas Bay, Alaska. Oh, there it is. Okay, I done fucked up. I was like busy talking to you about shit and then completely missed it. So here's Thomas Bay right here. Let's put a little, can we put a little thingy jigger right here? And then what do we do? How do I save this? Save. Let's see. New list. Alaskan spooky spots. That's Snooky. Spooky spots. Create. List name, yada yada yada. Add place. Thomas Bay, Alaska. There we go. Okay, so we got Thomas Bay saved right now. I think. I think I did this right. And okay, let's go out. So here's Thomas Bay next to Devil's Thumb, of course. We got my little bookmark right there. And okay, so I've been to Anchorage, and then I've also been to what's the one that starts with an F? Cutie Pie, if you're listening, you know what I'm talking about. Or no, I haven't been to that one. I've been to Juneau. That's it. Ooh, so I've been close to Thomas Bay. Ooh, look at that. I got lucky. I could have died, y'all. Shit. Okay, but I'm still here. But yeah, that's where the Devilfish Bay creatures are. Damn it, that's where the Thomas Bay Devil creatures are. And I think this is actually out of order. Yes, okay, that's out of order. Okay, my bad. So the even though it's kind of its separate story, like the Devils of Thomas Bay is its own distinct story, right? The strangest story ever told. That's the story of the Thomas Bay Devils or the Thomas Bay Devil creatures, whatever, the Devils of Thomas Bay, however you want to do that. But if you didn't notice in that last article that I had read, there was a word that kept popping up. This word, the Kushtaka. So there is a separate legend. This will be our second legend. We're doing good time. We're hopping back right into this second legend of the Kushtaka. The Kushtaka are another group of sinister, spooky people. Might actually be the same as the Thomas Bay Devils. Might be the same thing. That last article that I had pulled up, they sure thought so. They thought the Kushtaka were the devils of Thomas Bay. I'm getting there. I'm figuring it out slowly. So let's see. Let's learn a little bit about the Kushtaka and see if it's the same as those Thomas Bay Devils. Whew. Here's going back to Urban America. Oh, that's why their name is Urban. The name of the channel is Urban America. I just figured that out. Okay. Here, let's pop this. Okay, here, Urban America is going to give us another TikTok video, one of our favorite urbans here, to talk about the Kushtaka.
I am the reason so many people go missing in Alaska. Hello, my name is Urban. I am a Kushtaka. We live in southeast Alaska where 1 out of every 200 people mysteriously go missing, and almost every local fisherman.
Ooh, that is spooky. This channel is real good. I understand this is all AI, but AI, man, is making some spooky fucking shit.
Has a story of an encounter with us. The Tlingit people have been telling our story for generations. We are shapeshifters with evil purpose, to trap our victims' souls and prevent them from reincarnating. We do this in many ways. In some cases, we find lost travelers and offer them help, but lead them deeper into the woods to tear them apart. Other times, we hide in groups and lure our victims away from safety into deep waters at night by imitating crying babies or women.
Ooh, that's fucked up.
More often than not, they will come to the rescue, but once they get close, we drag them underneath the water and turn them into one of us. And this is the reason why.
Okay, interesting. Notice, just have to point it out, the Kushtaka, according to Urban America here, bunch of like what, root people? Is that what this is? These are like spooky ass people made of roots. And then randomly, halfway or towards the end of this video, we just get a bunch of, where did it go? Where did it go? Let's keep going. We drag, boom, otters. Otters. Bunch of little, cute little furry fucking otters here. What do they got to do with the Kushtaka, for fuck's sakes? Well, as it turns out, they do have something to do with it. Let's get into it. So, the Alaskan legend that will send chills down your spine. The Tlingit people of Alaska have a chilling legend about the shape-shifting otters called Kushtaka that trap souls and prevent reincarnation. Alaska has some absolutely incredible animals, but is there a more adorable animal than an otter? Absolutely not. Well, I don't know. That's questionable. There are some pretty adorable animals out there. Otters are definitely on the list. Oh, let's pop back over. Meow. Okay. They're like charming little stuffed animals floating along in a river giving hugs to each other. Well, I don't know all about that. I'm pretty sure otters are pretty violent little shits. I mean, they're meat eaters. They fuck shit up. But they're still super cute while they do it. You probably can't imagine that sea otters could ever be connected with a creepy legend. But the Tlingit people have a legend about the playful creatures that will send chills down your spine. Okay. Otters are a mammal generally native to the North Pacific Ocean, right? Well, if you didn't know what an otter is, I guess we'll read about it. They're small on the scale of marine mammals, but make up for it in adorable habits like hugging. They are generally playful in nature, similar to dogs, which makes them very appealing to humans. I mean, let's be real. Humans are going to try to pet everything, right? I mean, you see a fucking crocodile in the water, somebody's going to try to pet it. In the United States, you can also find sea otters in Washington, Oregon, California. Our neighbors in Mexico also have a population. Unfortunately, despite the efforts to repopulate the sea otter population, including bans on hunting them, the animals are still considered in danger. Oh no, our poor little otter buddies. They're so cute. While we might think these animals are the sweetest things on the planet, the Tlingit people have a legend about them that'll keep you up at night. Okay, you need to tell us what that is. So this is Tlingit. See, there's Devil Bay right in that area. Yeah. Let's go a little bit closer. Yeah. So let's see. Let's size that up. Should be right around here is Thomas Bay, right? So it's right in that area where the Tlingit, okay, where these legends come from. The coastal Tlingit people live in Alaska and Canada and have a known history going back at least 10,000 years. Wow. These folks have been around and they know a thing or two about the plant and animal life in this territory. The Tlingit people believe that some otters are actually shapeshifters that look like men. These creatures have an evil purpose to trap their victims' souls and prevent them from reincarnating. It certainly wouldn't be the first time a cute face has been used to ensnare victims. These shape-shifting otters are called Kushtaka or Kushdaka. The legend goes like this. As you're walking through your village or hunting in woods or fishing in the sea, a man or group of men approach you. These men look just like kinsmen, and you don't have a clue that they're really the Kushtaka. In some cases, these malevolent creatures appear when you're lost or injured and claim they intend to rescue you. However, they lead you deeper into the wilderness and either tear you into pieces or turn you into a Kushtaka, which prevents your soul from being able to reincarnate. Pretty terrifying. You definitely don't want to come across a Kushtaka at night. I got a ankle itch. Okay. We can see where some trust issues might develop from this legend. Yeah. Groups of Kushtaka are especially dangerous. They might lure you toward them by screaming or making noises that sound like women or children in distress. That right there is like the creepiest part of the whole shit and fucking thing. The fear factor of like a sound happening where it's not supposed to be, like things that are out of place, right? This is kind of like we talked about on my what is it, the creepypasta episode that I did. We talked about, or no, it was the Forest Ranger episode that I did, that none of you watched, by the way, which I totally understand because that was like the first week I think that I streamed and my audio was all fucked up still. Audio is nice and good and sexy now, though. I'll tell you that. No crackles or pops over here. Heartburn. The otters are fucking me up. Super scurry. So, yeah, the when we were talking about that forest ranger stories, we were talking about the stairs in the woods or the stairs in the wilderness, wherever, like random ass sets of stairs leading to nowhere. Shit like that, even when it's just a set of stairs, when it's at a place like that, it's really fucking creepy. That's like a really good, creepy, I don't know, concept, for lack of a better word. Things that aren't where they should be freaks you out. And babies crying in the middle of the woods is definitely one of those things. Way out of place. I hear a baby crying in the woods. I ain't saving that little shit. I'm walking the other way, right? I've seen too many horror movies for this shit. Sorry, little baby. Your ass needs to fend for yourself out in this bitch. You need to go sharpen a little bibba knife and get two, because I ain't saving your little bibba ass. But once they see you coming, you'll never escape. That's the kush taka. This could be an ad for the buddy system. Travel with someone else, and you're less likely to need the help of a group of strange and eventually sinister men. The very cuteness of the otters is what makes the Alaskan Kushtaka so dangerous, according to the Tlingit people. Because we're so drawn to their playful nature, it's easy to miss the fact that these shapeshifters really want to consume our souls and condemn us to spend eternity wandering the frozen tundra. Luckily, there is one safeguard against a Kushkata capture. Alaska's second cutest animal is one that's plentiful around the region: dogs. Man's best friend saves us again, this time from evil spirits and an eternity without an afterlife. And look at this bad boy right here. He's like, yeah, I did that. Saved many stupid ass guys in my day. The Kushtaka are supposedly terrified of dogs. Luckily, Alaska has plenty of furry, fearsome sled dogs to keep its villages safe from harm. It's said that fire might be another effective way to keep the shape-shifting otters away. Alaskan mothers are fond of this legend and tell it to their children to keep them from wandering too far from home. Interesting. So that's the legend of the Kushtaka. Not the same as the Thomas Bay Devils, but they're in the exact same territory. And it seems like, from what I can tell, those two legends regularly kind of get swapped and mixed up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Some people refer to the Thomas Bay Devils as the Kushkata. It's an example of them, like that article that we read. Other people seem to think that they're two completely separate entities. For one thing, I haven't read anything about the Devils of Thomas Bay being otters. Not a thing. They're always, or the only description they have is they're little monkey demon fuckers with sores and shit, running sores, whatever that is, right? But it's probably not good. And that's the only description that you have of them. Nothing even close to being an otter. You know what I'm saying? They're not covered in fur, I guess. Nobody even said fur associated with them. Just monkeys, monkey, half human fucking things, which is spooky too. Monkeys are considerably less cuter than otters, unless you're talking about those little finger monkeys. Those things are adorable. Anything that's small enough to hug your finger is going to be super cute anyways, right? So, anyway, yeah, that's the Kushkata legend. Now, I wanted to pop over a meow for a second. Quest TV. Fuck these people. These cocksuckers, Quest TV, I even looked through my thing. I should have looked through it earlier today. Quest TV copyright strikes my YouTube channel whenever I use their videos because they're a bunch of cunts. So we're going to give them a thumbs down, say fuck you people, and we're not going to use their video, which is a bummer. But yeah, this is a woman getting scarred by the Kushkata shapeshifters. It was a good video, but these shitheads copyright my video and I'm in the US, and then nobody in the US sees it. And I end up getting like 3 views from like someone in like Afghanistan or some shit. But yeah, so anyways, we'll leave that where it is for now. Kushkata, though, that's our second legend from from Alaska. My cutie pie is confusing me. She's from Hawaii, went to high school in Alaska. So I'm getting those confused now, too. Everything's confusing. So let's jump into this. urban legend then. This is our third one. This is the legend of the sleeping lady. A little bit less on the creepy side, right? More of a kind of cool, neat, interesting legend from Alaska. And then we'll jump back into the creepy shit after this. So this one is a fairly long one, but stick with me, we'll get through it. So, growing up in Alaska, I have heard many of the legends, myths, and rumors in and around the state. The legend of the sleeping lady has been one of the most shared legends that I know of. The legend states that I heard while growing. The legend states that I heard while growing is stated to have been an old native legend. However, I have heard recently that their legend is much different than the one I grew up with, and that one was most likely created by old miners and homesteaders. That probably happens a lot where old miners and homesteaders hear Native American legends and then throw their own spin on it. The basics of what I heard were that long ago there was a race of giant people, and that there was a princess named Sustina who was waiting for her fiance warrior who never returned. Let's get into it. You don't need to give us a whole rundown, bro, and then jump in and you spoil the good stuff, motherfucker. Who told you how to, tell somebody a story? Okay, here's the legend of the sleeping lady. Long ago, there lived a giant, gentle people. The giant people loved their land and lived in peace and harmony. The children played and danced, and the adults talked of their land that stretched into the inlet by the sea. Within the giant people's tribe, there lived a young couple, Sustina and Nikatla. We're going to call her Susan and Nikki, so I don't fuck up their names over and over again. These two young people loved each other like no others. Their love lit up the sky with great dancing lights, and their people loved and respected them for their devotion to one another. One terrible day, a stranger visited the giant people. He told them stories of a fierce and warlike tribe that lived far to the north. The stranger warned the giant people they one day would be attacked by the war tribe. After hearing the news, the great chief of the giant people gathered the tribe together in the council. The giant people decided that all of the men, young and old, would travel north to convince the warlike tribe to live in peace and harmony. I don't know why they call them the warlike tribe, right? But whatever. Hey, we're not here to question their culture. Warlike tribe it is. Susan and we're going to say Nick. Susan and Nick knew they would be separated for a long time. They walked hand in hand to their favorite plateau overlooking the slender inlet. Nick gazed into Susan's tearful eyes and promised her that he would return. He asked that she wait at this spot as he wanted to find her as soon as he returns. Many days and nights passed with no sign of the giant men or Nick. Susan wove baskets and picked berries, but she grew weary and lay down on the plateau and was soon fast asleep. Meanwhile, the giant people's men arrived at the northern warlike village. Their plea for peace and harmony was met with a swift and terrible answer. Oh no. Suddenly, the warlike tribe attacked the giant people. The battle was fierce but short. Many of the giant people were killed and others were taken prisoner. The news of the disaster quickly spread across the great land. The name of Nick was on everyone's lips, for he too had fallen. With his last breath, he spoke the name of his precious Susan. The woman of the giant people could not bear to awaken Susan and tell her the fateful news. To shield her from her heartbreak, they wove a blanket of grass and wildflowers and gently placed it over her sleeping form. That night, the woman prayed to their gods to place Susan in a deep, unwaking sleep. The gods answered the woman's prayers, but the price was high, as the great land would be changed forever. The air turned cold, and a slight snow began to cover Susan and the long stretch of land that ran into the inlet. That snow was the first that had fallen in the great land. Days turned into years, and Susan continued to sleep and dream of Nick's return. The giant people disappeared from the great land, and a different, smaller people came in their place to watch over the sleeping Susan. Each summer, her sleeping body is still covered by the blanket of grass and wildflowers, and each winter the gods gently place a soft blanket of snow upon her. There are some who say that when all the warring people of the world disappear and peace and harmony return, Nick will awaken the sleeping Susan. But today few remember the giant people. Many call the great mountain Susan, but the wise. Many call the great mountain Susan, but the wise, who believe the legend, gaze at her from a distance and respectfully address her as the lady. So, as you can see, the story has a lot of beautiful drama with a fairly sad ending. Well, most myths and legends do. It is a story I knew as a child, but even then, there are a few different versions of this legend. There is another legend told by the Denane people, but it is quite different from this one. Oh, hey, Cutie Pie, have you? So you know of this sleeping lady, huh? I mean, I'm assuming it's an actual mountain range. Mount Sustinna in Alaska, also known as the Sleeping Lady. There you go. Okay, you've been there, huh? Yeah, there you are. I think I see you. You were like right here. There you are. Ah, Anchorage to Fairbanks. Okay. Never been to Fairbanks. That's the one with the F that I was trying to remember earlier. But yeah, Fairbanks. Okay, that's cool. So let's see. And yet another version. So there's three different legends of this version. Or three different versions of this legend. Have you heard any of the legends, Cutie? Do you know which, like, have you heard any of these, or are you complete? You just know you've seen the mountain. So, no, haven't. Okay, all right, all right. Well, see, you're learning something new every day. Yeah. The basics of, wait, this legend. What's this legend? Oh, yeah, the the Denine people. Okay. The basics are the Cook Inlet region. Inc. historian A.J. McCollin cited evidence that Mount Susitna was Mount Susitna. Am I saying that right too? By the way, hot stuff. Susitna was sacred to the Denali people in the area and linked the mountain, which they called, oh, that really big word, or Little Mountain, with Denali, which they called Big Mountain. In the Denali legacy, Peter Kalifornsky told the story of the mountain people who gathered at Sustina and a giant lady who said she would lie down by the river she loved to become Susitna Mountain. The river she loved to become Susitna Mountain. They need a comma in that sentence. Her relatives followed, Kalifornsky said, to become Mount Redoubt, Mount Liamna, and the Chigmit Mountain Range. Another wandered inland to become Denali. Oh, okay, so it's a whole family of people that just decided to become mountains one day. Fair enough. I do kind of like the little bit more dramatic telling of this legend, but it's kind of a nice legend, right? It's sweet, bittersweet. Mount Susitna. Let's look this up. Okay. At a place. Mount Susitna, Alaska. Wait. You weren't supposed. Oh, there it is. Okay. So, just like my cutie pie says, there's Anchorage over Meow. Susitna. Susit. Oh, you're joking. Susitna. Okay, do you know how to pronounce it? Susitna. I see what you're doing there. I was like, well, that doesn't fucking help me. Why'd she even say that? What is she joking about? All right, well played, well played. You're a little butthead sometimes, but you're a cute little butthead, and that was well played. uh, where's Fairbanks, by the way, cutie? I don't see Fairbanks anywhere. Oh, geez. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Alaska, so Fairbanks. Fairbanks is a really big town, isn't it? Up to the right. So you said you drive by it, so let's follow this route. There it is, right there. Okay, cutie pie for the win. So yeah, when you're going from Anchorage to Fairbanks, there's the Sleeping Lady right there. All right, cool. Good to know. So that's the legend of the Sleeping Lady. I really like that one. It's nice, sweet. Unlike most legends that I have here. I mean, to be honest, I personally enjoy the really fucking creepy legends. The little human monkey fuckers coming at you. Those are my kind of legends. But Sleeping Lady deserves her. I thought that legend deserved its honorable mention on this list of Alaskan myths and legends, right? So we're going to move on, though. Now we're going to the story of Devilfish Bay, and then I can be done fucking up the Devils of Thomas Bay and the Devilfish Bay people or whatever, right? So this is okay. It's hard to tell just where the giant devilfish first struck, but what the members of the Alaskan Tlingit tribe do know is that its long tentacles reach far along the edge of a secluded inlet about 100 miles south of Sitka, Alaska, and in a night of unimaginable terror, it wiped out an entire village off the map. Oh shit. There is nothing left now except a fish trap, a small clearing along the cove, and pictures etched into a great stone walls that tell the tragedy at Devilfish Bay. Ooh, okay. The story of Devilfish Bay has been part of the Tlingit culture for more than 400 years. A tale of two young Tlingit men who battle a giant octopus to save the honor of their family name. Where is the actual story? So, up until now, the story has lived only in spoken words whispered over the crackling of a warm fire in James' home, yada, yada, yada. The skill of a storyteller. James has become a master storyteller. That's wonderful for James. The story begins. Okay. The story traces the lives of two young Tlingit brothers, Zotki and Thatok. Zotki and Thatok. Okay. Who are being trained to hunt and battle. They leave Devilfish Bay in a dugout canoe one pre-dawn morning to hunt seals that will be shared with the entire tribe. But as the hours of the day slip into late afternoon and they return to their campsite, they notice floating objects in the water. Bearskins, slats of cedar shakes, broken wooden bowls, a bent wood cedar box with dried salmon inside. Edging closer to the bay, they discovered their village has been dragged into the water by a tremendous force. There was only one thing that could cause so much damage. Its name was Nock, the devilfish that lived under a cliff near the village site. Ooh, geesh. The two brothers attacked the devilfish and sought no help. In the Tlingit cultures, families must resolve their own problems. Ah, well, okay. Well, unless that's cool, unless your problem is a giant fucking octopus and there's only two of you, right? Then that's a bummer. They could have gotten all these men of war to help them, but they did not want to be remembered with pity, James said. They chose the path of honor. They chose the path of self respect. They do that knowing they will die. Okay. Okay, so this goes on more about James and his book. Darn, that's a bummer. That's all we get from this is James and his book. Shoot, I really should have read this before we did the damn stream. It happens sometimes. I'm like, oh, great. Okay, there's a story. And then I forget to read it. And then next thing you know, the story, I have to relook it up. Story of Devilfish Bay. Boop, 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 boop. The giant devilfish story. Okay. Oh, I got nasty nose noises. I wonder if the story is actually copyrighted since James here, Rudy James, my man here wrote the book. It's probably copyrighted. Shit. That's a bummer. Tlingit Elder put, oh, this is what we're talking about. Okay, so this is the Mr. Rudy James is the Tlingit Elder who put this story into writing and made a book out of it. Okay, well, if he made a book out of it, then we're probably more realistically not going to read the story. See, both of these have the, oh, that's the, okay, name of the story. Yeah, Record Devilfish, the Giant Devilfish Story, Smithsonian. Oh, let's see what they have about. Nothing. Okay, just the book itself. Well, let's look for the book. Let's see what that looks like. Amazon. Devilfish Bay, the Giant Devilfish Story by Rudy James. Here it is. And they give us the absolute most crap picture they can give us. What a crappy picture. Anything? Not a lot of reviews. No pictures. Let's get a better picture of this guy, yeah. There's the book. How much is it? Ooh, $30. Jesus titties, man. I haven't paid that much for a book in a long time. Here's the book, though. Better picture. The Giant Devilfish Story, an Alaskan Indian Adventure. Doesn't look like it's a very big book. So, quick, short read. But, yeah, there it is. The Legend of the Octopus, that two brothers who have to fight the octopus. That's kind of a bummer, though. Not going to lie. That definitely is anticlimactic. I was certainly excited to actually read the story right up until the moment where I realized I couldn't. Stories of the monster devilfish. That doesn't sound like it's the same thing. But so here we have a legend that we can't fucking read anywhere because that's Theodore Grill. That's Smithsonian. So it doesn't look like we're going to get to actually read the legend, which is a massive bummer. Let's find out where Devilfish Bay is, though. Search Google Maps. Devilfish Bay. In case I ever make my way to Alaska, there's Devilfish Point. Oh, it is in Alaska. There isn't a Devilfish Bay though, folks. Doesn't look like it. This is the closest thing. Where? Let's go back to that story. Story of Devilfish Bay. Nope, that wasn't it. Balls. Oh, this is. Yeah, let's go back a page. Here we go. Here we go. I'm looking for where they said the. Oh, interesting. Looks like this guy broke some rules to publish this story. Ah, that's pretty crazy. Got some drama there. Okay, dragged. The only thing that could be the devilfish that lived under a cliff near the village site. So that's it. Devilfish Bay. They say that right there. Devilfish Bay. Possible tours of Devilfish Bay. Okay, interesting. Well, that can't be it right there because that's Devilfish Point. So is there no Devilfish Bay here? Got to keep sleuthing. Want something right, you got to do it yourself. Where is Devilfish Bay in Alaska? Not interested. Get out my face. Okay. Devilfish Bay is located in southeastern Alaska on that word, islands. Okay. On the west side of this island. So let's look up this island. Wait, is that? No, different island. Okay. Well, I guess we're going to find out, yeah. Here it is. Here it is. Okay, so it's on the west. Never eat. Okay. Edna Bay. Did Edna Bay possibly get renamed into Devilfish Bay? Or Devilfish Bay got renamed into Edna Bay? Okay, we're not getting anything else from it. I think it did have longitude, right? Or longitude and latitude. Can you look up the longitude and latitude on Google's Maps? Is that a thing? I'm not seeing it anywhere that that's a thing. Nope, nothing. Where do I get longitude and latitude? Is that I need to learn how to do more of this Google Map shit before I jump into this. Learn this a little bit. That's a bummer. They're not going to give us. We don't even get to know where Devilfish Bay is. They don't give us a story, and they don't even get. Yeah, let's give it a shot. You're right. No, didn't work. What if I just try taking these out? Oh, that worked. Nice. High five. Digital high five. Thank you. So this is Devilfish Bay. Okay, and there's Shipley Lake. And that's the same island. So I guess we'll call that Devilfish Bay. They just don't want to label it because they don't want people to get eaten by that devilfish. Okay. And here, let's do that again. I didn't even actually see where that was. I was so busy not getting it correct. Save Alaskan spooky spots. Okay. So, oh, look at that. That's actually not that far from the Thomas Bay where the devilfish are, just to make it even more confusing. So, you got 3 right there. Let's make sure that's in my. Yep, 3 places. Alaskan spooky spots. Okay, sweet. Well, there's Devilfish Bay, the creature of Devilfish Bay, giant octopus. It's been cool to hear the story, but you know, some people weren't about that. Let's move on. This one, though, we get to read a lot about. This is another good spooky one from astonishinglegends.com. This is the Qualapulak. Qualapulik. Okay, we're going to have to learn how to say this because I'm going to fuck it up if I don't. So bear with me. Let's do how to pronounce Qualupalik. Kalupalik. Kalupalik. Okay, fair enough. Easy enough. Kalupalik. When you think of a mermaid, a few different images may cross through your minds. Images of kind-hearted, beautiful half-fish, half-human maidens, or perhaps sirens that may be beautiful, but once they have you in their clutches, turn into heinous beasts ready to kill you. But the Qualupalik, you need to call upon. Yeah, I know, right? They're not going to help me neither. They're embarrassed for my sake. The Kalupalik. The Kalupalik. Okay. That one's easy, though. We got this one. The Kalupalik. 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 I just say it, if I say it like a song, like Kalupalik. Kalupalik. I'll figure it out. Kalupalik. I think I've said it enough times, it'll burn in there. But the Kalupalik is a bit different. The legend of the Kalupalik comes from the Inuit people and their icy Arctic waters. Unlike many other mythical mermaids, there is nothing attractive about the Kalupalik. 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 The Kalupalik. The Kalupalik. The Kalupalik. The Kalupalik. They are described as aquatic humanoids with scaly, bumpy skin. They are often depicted as having fins coming out of their heads, backs, and torsos. Their hands, though webbed, are clawed and made for the hunts. The Kalupalik, I think I got it, Kalupalik, are also rumored to smell like sulfur. Ew, that's gross. We just had that here in Tennessee. It just rained and everything smelled like sulfur for a little while. It was gross. The Kalupalik are also rumored to smell like soil and wear eider duck clothing. Well, I don't know what that means, but it's probably gross, whatever it is. Most hauntingly is what they carry, an aumatic. Aumatic and aumautics are commonly worn by Inuit women to secure their babies to their backs. They carry them so they can snatch small Inuit children. Ooh, yeah, that's no good. Inuit parents warn their children frequently about the dreadful Kalupaliks. One of the warning signs if they are near the shore and hear is if one of the warning signs if they are near the shore and hear a humming noise. Somebody needs to put a comma or something in that sentence. The humming is a warning that the Kalupalik is near. The Kalupalik is near. The humming is meant to entice curious children to come closer to the edge of the shore as the Kalupalik can steal the child away. Kalupalik. Fuck, man. Jeez. Kalupalik. However, the threat does not vanish if you're away from the shore. So sometimes the Kalupalik will knock under the icy the ice, drawing the child to a weak part or a hole in the ice to steal them away. So they're a bunch of dirty little child thieves. The Kalupalik. But what do the Kalupalik do with the stolen children? Some say they eat them, but other legends say they take them away to a cave and put them under a sleeping spell. They feed on the young innocent energy to remain immortal. Like many creatures from folklore, Kalupalik serves a utilitarian purpose in the harsh environment of what is now northern Alaska and Canada. By scaring the children out of wanting to be alone or going too close to the sea ice or the shore, they lower the chances that the child would venture near those dangerous places. Sure, I mean, that makes sense. But that's the general story of the Kalupalik, which we're going to watch a video on him, of course. This is from Aspect History. This is a smaller channel. I'm sure they're a great group of guys and gals over there and not going to fucking copyright strike me for playing 2 seconds of their video. So let's play theirs instead of that dickball People Quest TV because they suck ass. So let's check this out and give them a like just to smooth that over. Okay, this is the Kalupalik Mythical Creatures Bestiary.
Hey, I'm Circle Strafe, and welcome to my Mythical Creatures Bestiary. Today we're going to talk about the ominous, antagonistic character of Inuit mythology, the Kalupalik.
Ah, I knew it. See, I totally got it. The Kalupalik. My ancestors would be proud. Kalupalik. This guy does need to work on his audio, though. But, you know, I can't complain. I just got mine sounding better, so it is what it is. Ooh, that's spooky.
The Kalupalik is, from most accounts, humanoid in appearance. It's said that it has green skin, overgrown wet hair, and abnormally long fingernails. On the Kalupalik's back is an enormous satchel-like hood called an amoti. This hood is a traditional carrying pouch.
Okay, I did fuck that one up. I totally did not know how to pronounce that.
Which Inuit women used to...
It's been a long time since I've had to truck a small Inuit child on my back, alright? So give me a fucking break.
...to hold their children, much like carrying a backpack. Johannes Nicolaisen, in his book named Folk, also describes the Kalupalik as follows. His body is that of a human being, and he wears clothes made of eiderduck skins. Therefore, he is sometimes called Mitteling, or with eiderducks. The Kalupalik lives in the oceans of the Arctic Circle and preys on children. It hunts around fishing boats and the shores of villages and waits for a child to fall into its trap. The myth of the creature is common among Inuit peoples. It generally follows the story of a disobedient child that has either strayed too far from home or greatly misbehaved. When the child is near a...
So they take bad kids too. This painting almost looks like the ocean is like falling into him. It's crazy.
Patch of water, the Kalupalik hums to draw it in. And when it's finally within reach, the Kalupalik rises up and snatches the child for itself. It places its victim in its hood pouch, resubmerges, and the child is never seen again. What it actually does with its victim is varied. Some stories say that the Kalupalik simply eats the child, in which case the creature is also described to be ever hungry.
Ooh.
Another interpretation states it puts the child to sleep, stores it away, and then feeds on its energy to stay young. In more unnerving tales, the Kalupalik wants to raise the child for its own. One of the more...
Ah, like the cuckoo bird. The artwork there is really good. All of that. Really spooky. I mean, they definitely don't make these fucking things look handsome, that's for sure.
Popular tales sees the Kalupalik hunted ceaselessly by a father of a boy it took. Out of fear of discovery, the creature releases the child, and the boy grows up to be a model citizen, never again stepping out of line or doing anything forbidden. The myth is clearly a cautionary tale to keep children behaving.
There's definitely a lot of those. Pretty sure we had that one in Alabama, the don't go into the woods story. Or what was it, I forget what the point of it was, but it was what do they call it? Bloody bones and something about a skull. Rawhead and bloody bones. That was the Arizona equivalent, and it wasn't don't go near the water. It was don't piss off your parents, basically. Don't go rummaging around the cupboards of the house because Bloody Bones might be waiting in a cupboard for you. That's what it was. Don't go down steps where Bloody Bone, don't go into the basement, that kind of thing. Just to, keep kids in line. Just sit there, play with your G.I. Joes, shut the fuck up, and nothing will eat you.
It's an antagonistic punishment that parents warn their children about to stop them doing something stupid and dangerous. After all, these tribes live within the Arctic tundras, and one misstep might actually turn out to be fatal. Frederick B. Lorgrand, in his book Inuit Shamanism, interestingly talks about how the tale of the Kalupalik can greatly affect Inuit people well into their adult years. Some truly believe that these things really exist. First off, he talks about an account of an elderly woman. She gave a child to Kalupalik after a failed hunt, and then regretted her action when the hunt was successful the next time around. Lorgrand also quotes a
I guess I'm not getting that.
tribesman who spoke about when Kalupalik once approached the tribe's camp at night. The tribesman said, "Nobody saw it, but the dogs were so scared they got on top of the kamak. The people started wondering if it was a Kalupalik. My brother saw the tail of an amorti made of eider duck skin. He saw the Kalupalik running very close to us." It's surprising how closely this tale matches up with other mythical creatures designed to scare children into obedience.
Sure.
The bogeyman or the American...
I mean, you do got to think, if you're in the Arctic Circle in Alaska, kids wandering too far out on the ice has got to be one of your worst fears, right? That's got to terrify you as a parent, especially hundreds of years ago. That's got to be spooky to think of your kid wandering too far out onto the ice and then falling through. This is a really good way to keep their ass right next to you, right? Like these two right here, right next to you and screaming.
Boogeyman is utilized in an almost identical way. The tales around its origin are, in fairness, unique, but its purpose is absolutely the same. That's
interesting. Okay. This was Aspect History. What else? Let's just look into them teeny tiny little bit. See what else they have videos on. Ooh, Dante's Purgatory, King Tut's Tomb. Cool, this guy's got some cool videos. Let's subscribe to this fucking guy. Yeah, looks like he's got some interesting stuff. The Tale of the Jack-o'-lantern. Dante's Purgatorio. The History of Halloween. Ooh, that's really cool. This is the kind of shit I like to watch in my spare time. If I have a moment, I'll get stones and watch this. What was the purpose of the Boogeyman story? I don't remember, to be honest. To keep unruly children from being a bunch of assholes, maybe? Because, the Boogeyman story changes. What was the purpose of the Boogeyman? Did you ever hear of the Kalupalik when you were in Alaska, Cutie Pie? Cautionary tale primarily used by adults to frighten children into good behavior. By creating a sense, see, your family never told you that one. That's why you're such a bad girl. That's why you're so unruly and hard to control. Because you never were introduced to the Kalupalik. Wait, where was I? Okay, so the Boogeyman aims to discourage children. I thought it was kind of funny. If Bundy was here, he would laugh. Parents aim to discourage their children from wandering off, staying out late, or engaging in other behaviors deemed undesirable. The Boogeyman is a tool for social control, leveraging children's vivid imagination and fear of the unknown to enforce rules and boundaries. I kind of got to question this, right? Because I've never heard the Boogeyman story being like, if you're a bad kid, the Boogeyman comes and gets you. Have you? Have you ever heard that? Because I haven't heard that. I've only ever heard the Boogeyman just comes and gets you because he's an asshole and that's how he does. Yeah, me neither. I haven't ever heard that neither. Some say the threat of being taken away by a monstrous figure if they misbehave. See, I've never heard that part either. Yeah, well, sure, that makes sense, yeah. True. But, yeah, me neither. I've never heard that either. In some cases, the Boogeyman legend can be used to explain things that children might not otherwise understand. Might use the boogeyman to explain why it's not safe to go into the woods alone at night. Okay, maybe like that, right? I guess I can see that where, kids like, but why can't I go out in the woods? I want to go out in the fucking woods. And parents are like, listen, little shit, the boogeyman's out there. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll stay home. The boogeyman's lack of a specific form or clear definition adds to the power as a fear inducing figure. That is true. That's a good point because, yeah, nobody's ever, I never heard nothing about the boogeyman as a kid, like what he looks like, It's always could be anything, right? So they didn't give us, when it came to Kalupalik, that was just the entire Arctic Circle. That was just all up in this bitch. All over here in northern Alaska is Kalupalik territory. And I can tell you, I'm not going anywhere near there to go find a Kalupalik. That just looks too fucking cold. Even on a map, just that color of white and gray just makes me go, oh, I don't want it. Yeah, in the under the bed, that's what I read too. When I was ever told about the boogeyman, I can't really remember from when I was that young, but when I was told, lived under the bed. That's what I heard. Lives under the bed. Same thing. So, yeah, and again, like what I remember from the boogeyman was just he's under the fucking bed, and his maybe one day he's gonna be a dick and come get you, and that's that. There was nothing you could do about it. Nobody was ever like, oh yeah, so don't be a bad boy. I think maybe my parents were like, fuck it, he's not gonna listen anyways. I had my whole entire room when I was a kid was filled with Halloween decorations and horror movie props anyway. So they were probably like, fuck it, like it's not going to stop him. Like he probably, if we tell him that, he's going to do something bad so he can see the boogeyman. Yeah, if it was so similar to the Kalupalik, 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 the Kalupalik story. Yeah, took me a minute, but I'm there. I got it. The Kalupalik story. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it's that similar. He didn't explain how it was similar, But I'm glad you caught that because I didn't even think of that. I mean, because it, like I said, the back over Meow in Alabama, the what was it, Rawhead and Bloody Bone stories. See, I have a hard time pronouncing that even. The Rawhead and Bloody Bone story was totally about like spooking kids from getting out in the woods, right? And they would hide in the cupboards, so don't go sneaking through mom's cupboards at night, I guess, whatever. That too was kind of like a boogeyman story. It's like Alabama's boogeyman, So I imagine it made sense because there's always, I imagine when we go through every state, we're going to run into that sort of story. It's just, yeah, when I was a kid, I also never heard of the boogeyman being like a warning, but we also didn't have like sheets of ice in Wyoming that you could go walk on and fall through. We had sheets of ice in Wyoming. They just didn't have water underneath them, thank God. Okay, so we're going to move on, not to the Baranov Museum, but the Baranov Museum, this house that it's in. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, the boogeyman is supposed to keep children in bed so that they won't wander anywhere. That's probably what it's for. Yeah, that's pretty smart. Good idea. Look at you, just inventing reasons to scare the shit out of little kids. That's a good one, Cutie Pie. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. You wouldn't want your kids jumping out of bed and going, leaving the house or wandering around and, I don't know, falling their dumb ass down the stairs and hurting themselves. So you say, stay in bed or else the monster under the bed is going to get your ass. So we're not going to go over the Baranova Museum. It's actually this house right here that the Baranova Museum is in called the Erskine House right here, which is a very nice looking house. It's a good house. I'd live in that house. It's got, I wouldn't like mowing that yard. Fuck that yard. That yard is inclined. I can already just see how much of a pain in the ass it probably is to mow that. Now that I have my own yard and I mow it, I look out for that. And I'm like, fuck that house. That's a shitty looking house based on its lawn and how hard I'd have to work to mow it. I would never live there. I'd be homeless. Nah, maybe not that. But it's a nice looking house. It's got a little like sunroom here. It's pretty fucking big. Yeah. You know? But this house is famous. The Erskine House. For the murder of Erskine House, I think it's called, right? Oh, the Erskine House Ghost is what this one's called. Ooh, okay. So let's read about the Erskine House Ghost. It starts with a murder, a 126-year-old murder. And it gives us a month. Here it is, recounting the gruesome death. Okay. He scowled at me, and as he scowled, I began to feel sick and faint. McIntyre told Petrov about his first encounter with Peter Anderson, his assassin. After their first meeting, McIntyre reported feeling out of sorts ever since. Did McIntyre sense he had met his murderer? Or later, as Petrov wrote about the account, was Petrov merely trying to make a good story better? Soon after arriving in Kodiak, Anderson asked McIntyre to outfit him for a sea otter hunting trip. This was not an uncommon request. The AC Co. would supply sea otter hunters with necessary goods, including foods and arms, on credit for their trapping and hunting expeditions. Often the company would send Aleutic sea otter hunters with the white vessel owners to hunt as well. The hunters were expected to sell the captured pelts to the AC company, thus paying off their debts and coming out at the end of the transaction with more goods or cash. As he would with any sea otter hunter, McIntyre outfitted Anderson, who then departed. However, Anderson returned empty-handed. It wasn't unheard of for trappers and hunters to return without pelts. In fact, I found several instances in Alaska Commercial Company, that's AC, ledgers from 1870 to 1880 that some hunters ended the season in debt to the company. Oh, so this guy did his fucking research. Look at that. All right. Good to know. Anderson went to McIntyre again, asking for traps, munitions, and other supplies so that he could spend the winter trapping. Giving Anderson the benefit of the doubt, McIntyre instructed the store to provide the requested materials. However, according to one account, Anderson set the traps but failed to look after them and didn't even go to take them up when the trapping season was over. He used up all the supplies but didn't go hunting either. Oh, he's a lazy dick. Again, Anderson returned to Kodiak without a pelt to put down to pay off his debts to the company. Multiple accounts verify the fact that Anderson was either too lazy or too negligent to hunt. Spiridon Stepanov, Altic Creole from Eagle Harbor, recounted in an oral history recorded in 1969 that he wouldn't do nothing. He wouldn't do nothing. Accounts vary if McIntyre outfitted Anderson for another voyage after the second failed attempt. He did return on his last hunting trip outfitted by the AC company without a fur in sight, and his vessel had gained an eerie appearance. Two accounts provide this sinister image. One claimed Anderson's sloop was rigged with black sails. Another that his sails were made from blue drill cloth. Whatever the material, his dark-sailed vessel presented an unsettling image in St. Paul's Harbor. Anderson demanded to be outfitted again, but this time McIntyre refused. Well, hopefully, McIntyre refused. Hopefully, because, fool me once, fool me twice, all that whole thing. Anderson's sloop was not alone in the harbor. The Alaskan Commercial Company owned schooner Kodiak was making preparations to sail to San Francisco on November 2nd. It appears that McIntyre was planning on departing for the winter on that vessel. He was to join Haywood Carr on the journey, an English explorer who had recently attempted an ascent of Mount St. Elias. According to the daily cash record kept at the AC Co. store on October 28th, Sett and Carr purchased a Polish basket and mats, examples of the Tlingit basketry. This same cash record informs us that McIntyre was a smoker of pipe tobacco. Oh, well, thank God. I'm glad we knew that. In Spiridon Stepanov's telling of the story, McIntyre ordered the slaughtering of a cow. "Won't you give me a little piece for my supper?" asked Anderson, to which McIntyre responded, you're not my man. You're not working, man. You don't do nothing. You don't get nothing from me. You get home. At 6 p.m., a group gathered for dinner in the McIntyre home. The McIntyre home. I don't know what that sentence is trying to say after that. Customs collector Ivan Petrov, storekeeper H.P. Cope, explorer Seton, and Kaguyan, and the storekeeper Benjamin Walk. gathered around the table as Efka, servant in the McIntyre home, was busy with household matters. Suddenly there came a loud explosion, a crashing and jingling of glass, and something whizzed by my nose and created a current of air. The station agent was groaning under the table, and when I turned to my left, I saw M, still sitting in his chair with a pleasant smile lighting his open, honest features. But from under his chin on one side, the bright red blood came oozing out. Ooh. M, so that's McIntyre, yeah? But he shot. Buckshot, back, shot him, bang, bang, 2 shots. Recounted Stepanov. What is with these? Oh, that's funny. But he shot. Buckshot, back, shot him, bang, bang, 2 shots. I didn't make up that sentence, by the way. It's right there, okay? It was a friend who fired through the window with a breech-loading double-barreled shotgun, wrote Wesley Roscoe. Mr. McIntyre was killed so suddenly that he did not move. He was just taking something to his mouth, and his head did not even fall to the table. Mr. Roscoe arrived immediately after the shooting and performed McIntyre's last rites. The spray of buckshot hit Woach, who fell under the table and then rushed out streaming with blood in torrents, for he was shot through the lower part of his head. Ooh, that's a bummer. That's what Seton Carr wrote in his book Shores and Alps of Alaska. In the chaos of the instant, no one saw the murderer, although there was an immediate suspect, Anderson. He had a violent reputation and terrified the townspeople. His boat was found ashore, untied the next day, although he and his gun were missing, and everyone knew that McIntyre had refused to extend him further credit. The next day, Cope wrote to inform the San Francisco office of the murder. He wrote that they were entirely at a loss to locate the perpetrator, but it was generally thought to be a man named Peter Anderson, who arrived on a sloop of that name from Sitka last year. Today, I think that our conclusion was a concrete one, as the man has not been seen all day. A thorough search was made without a success so far. The man was seen at the back of the dwelling house a few minutes before 6 p.m., but nothing was thought strange. The whole town is very much shocked, and I think I can say that Mr. McIntyre has the respect of all who knew him, both American and native. A manhunt ensued, but Anderson was never seen again. That dickhead. The next day, an injured Wochi, the shaken Seton car, and the corpse of McIntyre were loaded on a schooner Kodiak, which sailed for San Francisco. Their surviving cash record shows that on board the Kodiak was food for the journey. We don't need to know any of that. But the story continues. In 1917, the Valdez miner asserted bones of Kodiak murderer found. The skeletal remains of a man with a shotgun were found near the town of Kodiak. The shotgun shells matched those that had been salvaged from the dining room following the murder. Many believe that the bones were all that were left of Peter Anderson. So he got this fucking guy. And McIntyre, what of his spirit? Well, Natalia Perstrikoff, daughter of McIntyre's servant Efka, worked many years for the Erskine family. Her domain was the kitchen. She swore that the magazine, which I don't know what that is. I'm going to assume like kitchen, house. The house was haunted. So much so that she refused to sleep within the Erskine's home. From Natalia and other Kodiak residents, strange sounds within the house were certainly McIntyre's ghost. One time, the errant sound was a moaning cow, but as Carolyn Erskine Andrews recounted, once more McIntyre's ghost was routed, but he never remained peacefully away for long. While the lingering presence of McIntyre's murdered spirit continues to be debated, there is a legacy that remains. Petroff wrote that the windows which opened upon a narrow alley was almost demolished, both frame and glass being shattered. As carpenter Don Corwin restored the magazine's historic windows, one was distinct from those around it, the one that Anderson's buckshot had obliterated. So is the house haunted? Just this weekend, someone left a note in a museum gallery claiming they had seen a ghost as they left the bathroom. Was this a trick, the result of an overactive imagination, or McIntyre's restless spirit? I can't say for sure, but I must run as I am the only one left in the house and the sun is dipping on the horizon. Ooh, spooky. Okay, so this is a recounting from the Erskine house in Alaska. Here's a nice little picture of it in the Library of Congress. What window did he get blasted out of, you think? Like this window, right? That's the door. So maybe right meow? Or maybe they're sitting in here. And they're sitting in here eating and he shot him right through that big ass window. That's what happened. Probably. More likely. But there you have it. That is the story of the Erskine house, which is now a museum called the Barnove Museum, where you can go visit. So, where is this museum located? 101 Marine Way, Kodiak. In Kodiak. You ever been to Kodiak, Cutie Pie? Right, meow. Alaskan spooky spots. Okay. So that's on Kodiak. Oh, that's on Kodiak Island. So there you go. They're kind of in the same area. No. You could go there, see Devilfish Bay, go here, see the Devils of Thomas Bay, then go over to Kodiak, see the Erskine House, and then there's a sleeping lady right there. And then I can add all the cryptid spots on here. Yeah, let's King Island, Iliamna Lake, Copper River Census Area, Fairbanks, Anchorage, Denali National Park, Cook Inlet. Yeah, so Iliamna Lake was, let's save this one in there, because that's where the Iliamna Lake Monster was. Yeah. So that's saved. So we got boom, 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 boom. That's not too far away. And then what else was there? Nunivak Islands. I don't remember exactly what was on Nunivak Island. And Kings Island, where is that at? That is a teeny little island. That's just right there. I don't remember what was over here, but let's save that too. That was something else spooky. I remember something about some kind of like fish thing or something or another. We went over that on the Arizona Cryptid Days, yeah. And where's that? Boom. Coldfoot. Coldfoot. Where is Coldfoot? There it is. Okay, let's save Coldfoot. I am definitely not going up there though. That looks way too fucking cold. That's way too far north. Oof. Looking at it even kind of hurts a little bit. Denali National Park. That's where I think one of the spottings of Bigfoot was. And Pax Talk? Cook Inlet. What was in the Cook Inlet? Oh, this whole thing is the Cook Inlet. That's right. Talk? What is a talk? It's a tiny town. I forget what that one was. I think maybe that was yet another Copper River census area. So there's the whole Copper River. I remember we looked that up. Again, Bigfoot. That was another Bigfoot in Paxson. Okay, so there's your Alaskan spooky spots and cryptids so far. You can go up over Mya if you want to go see some of them Kalupaliks, but I don't know if they're worth going up there to get your baby stolen. But, so yeah, that's the Erskine house and the story around it. The mystery here of the haunted house. And, oh, hey, here's the guy that haunts it. I don't know how I feel about that mustache, but yeah. So that is the ghost of the Erskine house. And I don't know what that was about. Okay, yeah. So let's read a little bit about it. 20,000 plus people now. This is by 2024. I think that video, because I actually go back to it. Okay, that was 2023. But they're saying 20,000 plus people have never been found there. That is pretty crazy. Like, again, I can kind of see Alaska. That makes sense. Yeah. All that wilderness, right? Look at all that wilderness, all this ice and shit. The Inuits up in this area pretty much had to make up a scary ass thing to get their kids to stop walking all over here and just falling through the ice and shit. How many silly people you think go into this area to be like, yeah, I'm going to the northmost, and then they fall into the fucking ocean and die. The Kalupaliks get them. Kalupaliks. The Kalupaliks get them. The little fishy swim things fuck them up, you know? So that can, that can happen. Not the fish things, but falling through the ice, getting lost out here, But that's still a lot of people. 20,000 plus people, man. The Alaskan Triangle, a mysterious area located around Anchorage, Juneau, and whatever that word is, has been the site of over balls. Here we go. Has been the site of over 20,000 disappearances. Oh, hold up. I'm going to pop back meow. Since the 1970s, this eerie region gained public attention in 1972 when a plane carrying two U.S. politicians vanished en route from Anchorage to Juneau, sparking numerous conspiracy theories. Oh, interesting. Okay. I've traveled from Anchorage to Juneau. I traveled from Juneau to Anchorage. Juneau is right, y'all. Anchorage is over here. But I traveled by boat. So the Alaskan Triangle goes right here. And I'm pretty sure my boat went because we were smart. We were like, well, I guess that's a choo-choo train. But you know what I'm saying. We went over, I don't know what sound boats fucking make. I'm from Wyoming. I don't go on boats. So, in this area right here. But we took the long way around, right? Lucky I did. Otherwise, you guys wouldn't have a Tony. Tony would be gone. Disappeared up in the Alaskan wilderness. The Erie, okay, we already read that. In October 1972, a small plane carrying U.S. House Majority Leader Thomas Hale Boggs Sr. and Alaskan Congressman Nick Begich disappeared while flying from Anchorage to Juneau. Accompanying them were Mr. Begich's aide, Russell Brown, and the pilot, Don Johns. Despite an extensive search effort, neither the individuals nor the plane was ever found. This mysterious disappearance is particularly intriguing due to Boggs' role as a member of the Warren Commission, the official group that investigated the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Ooh, conspiracy theory time. Conspiracy theory Thursdays, Honor Tuesdays, up in this bitch. Some speculated that his disagreement with the commission's findings contributed to the mystery surrounding his vanishing. Okay, yeah. Probably don't want to be on the wrong end of that group of people. Other notable case involved a 25-year-old New Yorker, Gary Frank Sotherden, who went to the Alaskan wilderness in the mid-1970s for a hunting trip and never returned. It wasn't until 1997 that a human skull was discovered along the Porcupine River in northeastern Alaska. Porcupine River. Let's see where that's at. Porcupine River. Porcupine River. So he was, wow, geez. I was expecting him to be like way up in north and shit, right? That's like, Juneau is like, we're like right fucking there, I mean, not saying like he could like walk over there with how cold it gets and shit, but, they got a little place called Pelican over here. What's that? Is that a little town? Yeah, it's a small town, little town called Pelican. It's just right there. Okay, well. Anyhow, so DNA testing in 2022 confirmed that the skull belonged to Gary, with the likely cause of death being a bear mauling. Oh, okay, well, that's what stopped him from getting to Pelican. He ran into a bear. That would do it. Them bears, they will maul you. Explanations for the numerous disappearances vary. Some attribute them to unusual magnetic activity in the region, while others suggest extraterrestrial activity. We're going to get more into that here in a second. Many have offered simpler explanations, emphasizing the vast, rugged wilderness and natural dangers present in the area. IFL Science describes the Alaskan Triangle as full of untouched wilderness, ragged mountain ranges, horrifically cold weather, yeah, you could say that again, and lots of bears. The Alaskan Triangle continues to be a source of intrigue and speculation, while some believe that this vast, wild region may never reveal its secrets. The stories of those who disappear remain a poignant reminder of the area's enigmatic nature. Perhaps like the Bermuda Triangle, this mystery will never be solved. And there you have it. So far, it has not been solved. But that's pretty crazy. Okay, so how many of our little points here fall in the Alaskan Triangle? So we just... Hey, that one isn't one. That was Porcupine River. Get out of here. Care about you. So Juneau to Alaska, and Alaska to that one place. We're gonna say it was Wainwright, even though I know it wasn't that. It was something up here. You know, depending on the angle, wherever that town was, right here. What was this? Denali National Park. That would be in there. Paxson would be in there, and Coldfoot. And all three of those were Bigfoot Sasquatch sites, right? So it could be the Bigfoot that's getting everybody, like they said, coming out of portals created by magneticism. Sounds fair, right? Fairbanks, right smack dab in the middle, like I said. So that's good. On most of our spooky sightseeing trip, we're outside of the Alaskan Triangle. So that's safe. We're safe. And this, right, y'all, is our finished list of spooky spots in Alaska. I need to go back and get all my spooky spots from Alabama. And then when I'm done, I'm going to have a whole Google Maps under this account that's going to be completely useless because it's just going to be filled with spooky spots all over. And that'll be fun. I'm excited for it. So that right there concludes our Alaskan Myths and Legends stream. I am going to link this. This will be in the description to the YouTube video. So if you're watching the YouTube video and you watched all the way to the end, thumbs up for you, because you're probably like the only person besides my cutie pie who's watched an entire 2 hours of me bullshitting and burping and making nasty nose noises into the microphone. But thanks for doing it. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Please leave a like and a subscribe to the channel. Always helps. And yeah, if you want to check out some more of the, what was the name? The Tlingit and Inuit Myths and Legends, then definitely scroll down to the description. All of the videos and web pages, except for Quest, because fuck Quest. But everybody else will have a link to their YouTube videos and their websites in the description to the video. So definitely check this out if you want to do a little bit more reading on Alaskan Myths and Legends. And so that is our final Terrifying Tuesday of the month. Woo! That's month 3 of Terrifying Tuesdays. We will be coming back for Terrifying Tuesdays next week, though, and we'll be starting on Arizona cryptids. So we're going to do continuing our 50 States of Cryptids series. Arizona is the next on the list. So that'll be next Tuesday. I'm super stoked for that. I love my cryptid videos. We'll start making my spooky list for Arizona then. And I used to live in Arizona too. Never had anything creepy happen there. There was a moment where I went to go get some weed from a guy, and I was like certain that I was going to get raped. So that was pretty terrifying. But I didn't. That didn't happen. And I ended up just being really high and really scared of this guy because he was like a really creepy looking dude. But that's the only scary thing that ever happened to me in Arizona. Other than that, it was a really awesome place. But a lot of spooky shit is there. I just made a whole Myths and Legends stream for that, and it's pretty spooky too. So definitely tune in for that. That'll be happening sometime next month. I'll keep you updated. Tomorrow I'll be streaming from around the same time, like 5, 6, 7, somewhere in that area. So you'll just have to see if you get it or not. But tomorrow will be our last Wildlife Wednesdays. Kind of sad about that, because Wildlife Wednesdays were the easiest days to put together, but nobody watches them. Nobody gives a fuck about the aminals. None of you give a shit about the aminals. So instead, I'm going to talk about politics that pisses people off and see if you guys care more about that. So we'll check it out. But tomorrow is going to be the last Wildlife Wednesdays, and I'm going to go to dinosaurs. If I'm giving up my Wildlife Wednesdays, and damn it, I'm going to give it up in style the way that I want to, and we're going to talk about some fucking dinosaurs. Tomorrow is going to be apex predators of the Mesozoic era. So stay tuned for that. That'll be tomorrow at 5, 6, 7. Everybody who watched live stream, obviously you, Cutie Pie, thank you for sticking around and talking to me. Always appreciate it. And anybody else who checked into the channel, thank you. I know there's a few people that popped in and out. And if you watch this video on YouTube, thanks for sticking around. I really appreciate it. You have a wonderful rest of your night, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.